How was your weekend?
It was good. I went down the rabbit hole of documentaries. I decided to I got a bunch of travel. I'm off to Columbus, Ohio tomorrow for an event there.
Ooh.
This is the time of year where we big mouths start traveling around the country and doing station events. And I know you had a great event with Seb Gorka recently, and so I'm going tomorrow to Columbus, Ohio. The local host there, real inspirational guy named Bruce Hooley, who is a cancer survivor, and he has been blogging about it and facing big health challenge. And he and I didn't always see eye to eye, and I don't know that we still see eye to eye on Trump. He's kind of a institutional guy and a little bit put off, I think, by Trump's rhetoric. More on that in just a moment, since the media is in a total meltdown. The legacy media is breathing into a brown paper bag right now over the supposed bloodbath
gate.
Yeah, but anyway, so we do the event with Bruce in Tuesday in Columbus. Then next week I'm off to Phoenix with Officer Tatum. He and I are going to be on stage Tuesday night in Phoenix, Thursday night in Sacramento.
Wow!
And then of course we got some different market visits coming up. And then, of course, in October, we'll have the big Battleground Talkers Tour, and that's a lot of fun. We all get on one big, massive jet, and we go from city to city, and it's crazy. I'm Detroit one night, and Philly the next night, and Atlanta the next night, and Phoenix, and it's crazy. And you get a little taste of how the other half lives, how the rich and the famous, the lifestyles of the rich and famous, because you get on that big, massive private jet, and man, you got a flight attendant.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a plane full of talk show hosts headed out to find out how the people are feeling. It's the lifestyles of the conversational and famous. Now, just so everybody knows, with this week, with all these visits, all these various places, but you will be ensconced in some radio facility somewhere. We will not miss a moment.
Not a day. No, not a day. Everywhere we go, we got the studio set up in every market. But so anyhow, I thought I'd take a little bit of a restful weekend, and my way of resting is to watch horrific documentaries about mass murder,
carnage.
Oh my gosh! Oh, no. Well, I mean, let me just ask you real quick before we get into the bloodbath gate, as you coined the phrase over the weekend.
Yep.
Do you remember Kai, the hatchet-wielding hitchhiker? Do you remember that story?
Who?
The guy. Okay, you don't remember that. It was like about 7 or 8 years ago. Kai, K-A-I. It's a fascinating story. This guy was hitchhiking. He's like a nomad, and there was a car accident, and the guy he was driving with was like a crazy person and tried to kill people. So he takes out a hatchet and bashes the guy on the head, gave a local interview, and was like a hero. Kai the hero. And this kid went viral, and everybody was stopping him on the streets. I vaguely remember. You don't have any memory of it?
No, none whatsoever.
I sort of remember it. Well, there's a documentary. 3 months after he went famous, he went and murdered a guy in New Jersey. And now he's in jail for the rest of his life, 57-year prison sentence. And Netflix, of course, as Netflix is wont to do, did a documentary on it, which is right up Mike Gallagher's alley. Could not get enough of it. I just absorbed every minute of it. It's the craziest story you've ever seen. So I watched that documentary. I watched a documentary about John Wayne Gacy. There's a nice guy.
What is the matter with you?
There's something wrong with me. I've got a screw loose.
No, and it's funny, and I play with you in this regard because you're into the true crime thing, and I'll dip my toe into it every once in a while, but not to the degree that you and millions of others do. You have a lot of company in this.
Well, some of the most popular podcasts, I've never really gotten into them yet.
Look at the top 10. It's half of them this stuff.
Half of them are like all true crime stuff, and they sometimes free innocent people and all that. But Gacy, the Gacy documentary on Netflix, like 3 or 4 5-part series, where they interviewed him. Like his lawyers did hours and hours of interviews, so you kind of got an insight into a serial killer. Like he was a narcissist and just full of himself. I mean, do you know what his last words were when he got strapped to the gurney for his execution? Kiss my behind.
Great.
That was He went to hell defiant. So,
so at least
just
we have that.
awe, and those poor families of these kids that he abducted and buried under his house, and the wife is living there with the stench of the bodies. I mean, my God.
I confess to the same morbid fascination that probably drives attention to these things as wondering about the human condition and what leads some folks to do stuff like this, from Dahmer to Gacy to Ted Bundy.
And how about Bernie Madoff? I watched that one too. They got a multi-part series out about Bernie Madoff, and I'm fascinated by his decisions in life, how he conned so many people out of billions and billions and billions of dollars. And the family, of course, destroyed. The one son wound up killing himself. The other son died of cancer. Ruth lives somewhere in a little condo now, his wife, and you know, I always forgot he died a few years ago in prison. But what a monster, the monster of Wall Street.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting with Lisa watching Millie Bobby Brown in Damsel.
Whatever that is.
No, it was great. It was like she's a heroine. It's kind of an action hero thing, fictitious land where she's horribly mistreated by some prince. But I thought, sure, why not? Let's go ahead and do that. It was a nice palate cleanser after the weekend gone by.
All right, so I know we've established the latest hoax, and that is that Trump is threatening violence if he doesn't win. And, of course, it's a bald-faced lie. This morning, incidentally, I don't know if you've seen it, Morning Joe doubling down. We're not idiots. He means bloodbath. He means blood in the streets. And it's just like all the other lies. It's like the, you know, Nazis are fine people hoax, and all Mexicans are rapists hoax. And he never said go peacefully protest on January 6th. Hoax. They lie about him over and over and over again. I admit he's fertile territory for this, because when he speaks, let's stipulate, he doesn't exactly have a filter. You wouldn't use the word introspective when describing Donald Trump, okay? So what they do is they take a fragment of something he says and they run with it. And because he speaks very colorfully, there's no question about it. But obviously he was talking about the auto industry. Clearly in context, he was talking about China and what happens if we can't impose tariffs. Bloodbath is often used to describe an economic turmoil like that.
Or a metaphor for any one of a number of
even Elon Musk called them out. Elon Musk posted, here it is in context, 55 million views so far, up to almost 60 million views of people who saw the clip in context.
Of course.
Here's my question to you, my dear friend. Now, I want you to give me an introspective answer.
Yes, very thoughtful.
Do you think these folks in the legacy media who use these tactics ever get embarrassed? Do you think they ever feel ashamed?
No, of course, you're toying with me now.
Because wait a minute. Think about it. Go with me on this for a minute.
Okay.
They see the pushback. They see Elon Musk. They see at least conservative media pointing out that it's a lie.
But the damage is done. Let's go in a flow chart. They issue that lie. They issue that hoax. They know exactly what they're doing. Of course, there's no embarrassment, because that would involve some sense of conscience and self-awareness, of which they have not. So they inflict the damage. They inflict the wound, and they are counting on the fact, and they're probably on solid ground in presuming this, that for every 100 people who heard the damaging hoax, who heard the smear, that maybe only 30 or 40 will watch it addressed, will watch the pushback and watch the backlash. So they rub their hands together in glee and say it's a job well done.
You want proof of what you just said? Can I confirm it for you?
Of course you may.
No better source, right from the horse's mouth, Nancy Pelosi herself. They found a clip where she explains the strategy that you just described. This is Get ready. Brace yourself for this. Hit it, guys.
And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this, so they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
Does that seem to be righteous indignation from her at it being done to their side? perchance? I mean,
I'm not sure what that
so.
context is.
Yeah,
it's an old clip. I mean, she looks considerably younger. I don't know when that was from, but that was the great and Grabian. They do a lot of neat stuff like that. They find stuff from the archives. They've also played over the weekend a montage of all the Democrats who bloodbath this, bloodbath that. I mean, they use it all the time. It's just, I mean, but I think there's a part of me. You're probably right that it's the tactic, and I think they get embarrassed at some point in the quiet of their own lives when their head hits the pillow. All of them, they got to think. Wait a minute.
No, because if they did that, it would stop. I mean, think about times in all of our lives where we've become embarrassed or humbled or humiliated or just had some moment of conscience where we look in the mirror and we say, man, I got to stop this, or this behavior. You know what then happens if we have a soul and a conscience and some sense of values? We stop the behavior. This behavior will never stop. So there is no embarrassment. There is no conscience. They know what they're doing, and they will, if anything, it will get far worse in the coming 7.5 months.
As Dan in the Colony just texted me on the text line at 800-655-MIKE, in the immortal words of Harry Reid, it worked, didn't it?
Sure did.
Remember that? Remember when he lied and he got caught and he said, yeah, but it worked. Yep. And that's what Nancy Pelosi said. Well, and I would explain their behavior this way. They are desperate. They are afraid. NBC has some new reporting out about Joe Biden. Not looking good from inside the campaign. According to the report, he's seething. He's behind the scenes seething. He's angry. He's anxious about his reelection effort. Listen, these aren't stupid people. They can see all the polling. And if all the polling shows that Trump has a slight lead, he probably has a big lead.
It could well be.
And I don't know.
On the Trump remarks, and I know you're going to Ohio, right into the gaping maw of a fascinating Ohio primary. 3 Republicans vying to see who goes up against Sherrod Brown. I'd love to think that's a winnable seat. But here's the deal. All right, quick flow chart. And once again, another flow chart. January 6th was terrible. The people who rioted need to feel the proper treatment of justice, but it needs to be timely and fair and swift as our system requires. Some people have been unduly demonized for just having to have been there as January 6th unfolded, blah, 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 blah. All that having been said, do we need President Trump singing their praises like they're all great patriots?
It's how he feels. It's how, and I know, I don't think it's anything strategic.
It doesn't matter. And again, does it hurt him? No, probably not. I mean, nobody's going to look at that and say, well, I can't vote for Trump anymore because
but does it help him?
Probably not. And I want him to only do things that help him.
But then we're back to introspective Trump, and introspective Trump doesn't exist.
I don't need him to be William F. Buckley. I just need him to not be Alex Jones.
Yeah, he's tapping into a segment of our population who feels very passionately about the January 6th defendants. He is right, incidentally, in terms of some of these people haven't seen the light of the day in years. I mean, he's totally right. We didn't do that to any of the BLM rioters. We didn't do this to anybody. I mean, incidentally, a quick non-political story. Apple is in talks to build Google's AI engine, Gemini, into the iPhone. AI is apparently set to appear in the iPhone.
Is this the Google Gemini AI technology that went woke crazy? And when you asked it for German soldiers, they wound up being black. And when you asked them to show us founding fathers, they wound up being Hispanic women. I mean, what?
Apparently it is. And
okay.
I'm just intrigued by all of it. I mean, I know I've been late to the dance in terms of AI and Chat GPT. Quick, relatable story. We've got somebody on our team, Tracy, who is our producer, and she's wonderful. But she admits, and everybody has strengths and weaknesses, writing, like she has to write captions for video clips. And that's what people see on the website. And we got thousands and thousands of views every day of people looking at clips. Well, you got to write the caption well, again, not her writing isn't her strong suit. So she has turned since February to Chat GPT. And Chat GPT is essentially writing the Mike Gallagher Show captions.
Punch them up in a hurry.
I'm telling you what, some of them I'm like, wow, Tracy, this is great. She's, thank Chat GPT. I didn't do it.
Make sure it doesn't get a mind of its own and start spinning things in ways you don't want.
Or it's going to kill us all. We're all going to die. It's all going to turn Terminator style.
Happy Monday.
I mean, are you into any of this stuff with the AI?
Very much, because and like with any kind of tech, I'm fascinated by its possible benefits and very vigilant about its possible deep downside. So
better be on our radar. Better be on our radar. All right, happy Monday. Another week in paradise, my friend.
He's a traveling man, and he's going to take us with him the entire way.